This year we were presented with a really unique opportunity. So remember when we first talked about doing the Domicor project and why we were doing it? Because there was this donor who had a large quantity of funds that had been allocated to YUSA, and camps were getting large grants to fund projects based on that donor. So this year, so they're matching grants, that's how it works. And this year the largest project we were doing was Main Dock. That's a $50,000 project. So we applied for a grant for $40,000 because you have to apply at $40,000 or $100,000. That was where I had to apply to fix the waterfront. And then the gentleman that I was just talking about, who helped me with the vision for the 100 years, he passed away last year, and his memorial fund is being used to fund the easy docks that are being put in for the kayaks. So we're taking, and we did get a grant for $40,000. So that's yay. So you have the main dock 50, the grant for 40, and the memorial fund for 15, and we're at $105,000 to start off that project. And then, this is the most exciting part, you know, every once in a while I'll do, hey, can anybody help us? And I just make a call. And Alan Summers was kind enough to say he would help us with the waterfront project. And so what started out as a $105,000 idea, now Alan's going to show us some vision that I think when you get given a gift, you should try to maximize the opportunity of the gift. So many times people will say, well, everything's fine with the waterfront. We don't need to do anything. But the truth is the wall is falling into the water. It's old. The wood is very, very splintery at this point. And we have a lot of opportunity. Main dock was falling into the lake. So we had to fix that. And I think you would agree the boating area could be better than what it is. So we took that, and then now we're trying to leverage it. And so the first part of our leverage was vision. So now I'm going to turn it over to Alan.
Plans are difficult to read for a lot of people, so before showing the plan, I just want to walk all of us through the process. As Kate mentioned, there's been a subcommittee and staff and campers who've been involved with suggestions for the waterfront for a number of years now. And some of the goals of the waterfront were first and foremost to make it safer. The lifeguards are not in the best location, and they've often said if we could be closer to the water, that would be better. There'd be a clear shot and we can just jump off the lifeguard station right into the water instead of having to climb down. So that was key. There has been, you know, degrading soil and washout by the waterfront. Also, there's always been a conflict between the boaters and the swimmers, I have felt, over by the dock area. Getting in and out of the water is a little difficult, and those wooden steps work well, but at the end of the year for staff to get those out of the water is really difficult and a chore. They weigh a ton. And then in terms of just pedestrian circulation, what's happened slowly over time is the waterfront has gotten more and more congested. It used to just be canoes, and then we got the kayaks, and now we've got the paddle boards, and we've got sailboats, and we've got the life jacket racks and all the different kinds of paddles. And if you look over there, you can't even really find a way to get through. We've also lost major trees. So shade is gone, and shade was another issue. Now, when approaching design on Sandy, it's really critical to stay with the Sandy spirit. So, you know, stepping back, sure, it would have been, as a designer, it would have been really fun to come up with something really contemporary and, you know, slick, but that's not where we're at. We want to stay with the vernacular, the architectural style that exists on Sandy. So with that in mind, I started to give thought to how we could improve the waterfront and came up with this initial concept plan. So if you can't see it, I'm happy to just kind of walk around. This is the lake here. Here's the lodge, right? We have some big mature trees. The big idea and it seemed like a really opportune time also to visit this because of what's happening with the dock. The big idea is to get rid of that narrow strip of decking that runs along the retaining wall in the front, which has always been awkward, and I never quite understood, why it was there. I mean, it's a way to get from the boat area over to the swim area, but it's precarious. So, what if we cut into the bank, pulled that level of the deck area that presently exists by the water all the way back to where the chaise lounges are now? So what you would have is decking. This whole area would be level where it is now close to the water. So now the chaise lounges are down at the water level, which is real, where you really want to be anyway. That's this level. I've extended the width of the steps that bring you down, so we rip out those concrete steps and make it another third larger, and it creates kind of an amphitheater effect with a series of steps that come down and you can sit on them. Parents have lots of opportunities to sit and watch the kids, right? So it's much longer. And then with that, there's a bench that runs the whole length of the retaining wall. So the chaise lounges are in front of that, and then there's a bench that runs along the whole way. And then with these steps down, the bench actually can turn over here. The wall's now angled. So where the Adirondack chairs are, they're right here, right, sitting out looking at the water. The wall angles, there's a bench, so you're down mid-level and can sit and look out, right? And over here, there's access now down as well. This area has a couple of railroad ties and rocks and so on. It's a little, uncomfortable to get down. The idea is to create a ramp at grade. It doesn't quite meet Disabilities Act ADA, but it's much better than what exists. So that was another design criteria, is if we could accommodate accessibility issues. So the idea is to create a ramp on grade. So they would be, almost a wood deck or concrete slats with gravel in between, not going into the water as this shows, but it would actually meet the deck here. So right now we've just got gravel and steps, but this would be a nice clean ramp that brings you down. That requires a retaining wall, which actually exists, but then if we turn it and turn it back, that provides an area for the retaining wall for the steps, and then we can make that into a planter. So it'll be a nice planter there. All the means of getting down now have handrails. So this has a handrail, handrail, handrail. There's 3 handrails here at the wide set of steps. The lifeguard stations now, instead of being up here far away, are down right by the water. Clear vision for safety, and they can even be closer, and they can just jump right out into the water. And there's another one here. So the dock area for the boating has been greatly increased. It projects out further into the water significantly. In fact, it's kind of the footprint of an old dock years and years ago. You can see it underneath. That's kind of the old shoreline or the old set of rocks. You can even see them. So now the boat dock extends further out. It provides much more gathering area here, so it's not so crowded when people are getting in and out. The lifeguard station is right on the corner. So again, visibility, so the lifeguards can look this way and this way, which is something they've been requesting for quite some time. And also they can then quickly just jump into the water. They don't have to climb down. This then the dock would continue, and I just ran out of room, but actually it would continue further. It's further away from the shore. So here's the shoreline. Now by projecting out and going perpendicular to the shore, it allows us to keep some kayaks and canoes, or not permanently, but tied up along the edge. So you don't have to keep bringing them up and down, up and down. If you want to rent one and one's there, it's already docked next to the dock, and you can get right in. The other thing is this easy dock that Kate had mentioned. There's something called zero entry. So the easy dock would be at grade. You can just carry the canoe or kayak right into it. It's got these rails, and you pull yourself, and it goes into the water. So it's a very smooth, transition directly into the water. You don't have to get out onto steps or anything. It's just, you just roll out, basically. So again, people with disability issues or just accessibility issues, that'll take care of that. Now, in terms of the congestion that's been occurring with all these things, there are other features that can come with these docks, such as the paddle holders and the life jacket stations. Why not have the life jackets and the paddles down where you're using the boats and get them off the ground? So now, with increasing the size of the dock, we have the opportunity to introduce life jackets here, paddles here, kayaks and canoes here. It's all, centralized. That frees up this area, and if we free up this area, then we can relocate where the canoes are. The canoes have always been here, but that doesn't mean they can't be moved. So if we take the canoes and pull them closer to the shore and reorient the direction, then the kayaks can be here. This frees up this area now for pedestrian circulation. So we can quickly go right this way, which is where most people are walking now, but the canoes are in the way. The other thing is, by changing the grade, and I have some other pictures to show that might help show what that looks like. By changing the grade, we can take this top area, which is where the chaise lounges go during the water carnival, and use it. So now I've effectively increased this by usable space by 100%. The chaise lounges are on the top level and the lower level, and it's wide enough that there's easy circulation in front of the chaise lounges. And they don't all have to be chaise lounges. They could be tables and chairs or whatever. But the point is, there's plenty of room here now with actually not changing the existing square footage. The water is sheeting down, actually this way. So this is a detail for a gravel support system. If we excavate and introduce, this is a modular kind of block. It's a fiberglass or plastic modular unit that goes subsurface, and it holds the ground in place. And then using a gradient of different stone, so use large stone, then it's slightly smaller, slightly smaller, slightly smaller, till it's really fine. It doesn't hurt your feet. It's nice to walk on, but the water quickly percolates through it. And then there is subsurface drainage, which would penetrate through the new retaining wall and go right out to the lake under the deck. So the water would sheet flow down from the lodge, hit this system, which is very comfortable to walk on, percolate down, and go right out. So that deals with the stormwater mitigation that we have to deal with. And actually what we'd like to do, now that I'm here and looking at the site, is bring it all the way up around here. This is where it's actually really bad too. So we'll take this system and increase it here. Also bringing in new soil. What's happened over time is it just keeps slowly washing away. And you can see, if you look at the top of the wall, the grade now is below the wall, where I'm sure it used to be up at the top. That's not necessarily such a bad thing, because the water hits the wall and then has the opportunity to kind of go down. So, but you can see that it's washing away and scouring. So if we rip out the other big stump, and we already took out one stump, and regrade it with this material, it'll be very nice to walk on, and it'll help with the stormwater. So to give another sense of what this looks like, thanks, son. Yeah, that one's good. This one's going to be hard to read. So do we have two of them? We could pass it around. Oh, just this one. This is an elevation study, which I'll pass around. The other thing is to introduce more trees. So here's the existing wall, where the Adirondack chairs are set up. Yeah. And here's the bench going back. The steps now are this wide. The lifeguard station is front. Here are some handrails. I'll pass it around. Oh, looking at the time. Thank you. I forgot about him. Yeah, no, looking from the lake towards the waterfront. So this is a head-on view elevation. Yeah, head-on elevation. So what you'll see when I pass this around is two different levels of the chaise lounges. You'll see the chaise lounge at deck level and the chaise lounge is above. You'll see the bench that runs along the whole back side, the new location for the lifeguard station. This is the ramp that brings you down. This is the beginning of the boat dock with some paddles and life jackets. So this is looking from the water towards. That is a section, which I'll walk you through now too. This is not exactly correct, but it's kind of the idea. So a section is, if I took a knife and cut through longitudinally perpendicular to the deck, and you looked at it, if you think of a piece of cake, and you know, when you slice through and you see the layers. So I'm slicing through, can I have the plan for a second? I'm slicing through here where the big steps are, okay? And we're going to be looking at it this way. So if we look at it, here's the new gravel area that's on the upper level. There's going to be a new retaining wall here with the steps that come down to grade. Here's the new deck, and this is slightly different, so I'm going to have to modify that. But basically, that's it, right? We have the upper level with the gravel, a retaining wall, steps down, and then the new deck is this wide, and then we take that chaise lounge and bring it over here. You can see how much room there would be.
Alan, point to the water level. Where's
The water level is here. So it's 19 inches below. The water level, so the new deck comes out, the water level is where it is. So right now what exists is, you know, you've got a narrow piece of decking and the wall. And the wall comes up.
Deck, Alan, can be at the same height
Yes,
as the current
exactly,
lower deck.
exactly.
As the current
Lower deck.
a little bit further out?
Further out.
Secondary.
So here's the existing deck, and it's about that big. And the idea is to cut into the whole bank where the top of the wall is presently, but go the whole length.
Okay.
So all that soil gets cut out, removed, a new retaining wall is built, you have these steps that bring you down, and the whole lower level now is deck.
So you have the same amount of shallow water.
Water
Yeah,
water doesn't change. Yeah.
So the new place for the lifeguards makes sense in terms of the swimming. Does
Yes.
it make sense in terms of the monitoring the boating?
So
Ah.
secondary guard location at
Right.
the boating area also. Yep.
So I mean whether this one should be turned. I leave that up.
height. You want some height when you're looking across.
We can still have a tall tower, so they'll be sitting in a tall tower. It's just the ability to get to a child. I also argued that you necessarily don't need the person in the tower to do the rescue, which is what we do right now. They are the person saying there is an issue, and then someone else goes to do the rescue. But in truth, when we have not as many guards on the waterfront, it's better for them to be able to get in so they can still sit in tall tower and have the visibility they need, but then still access the water because they're not doing a double jump over that piece in the rocks right now. Yeah. And we may not, here's the other thing too, we may not be perfect, this might be, but we will figure it out. I think, as you know, like when you're driving a car and you can only see 20 feet ahead, we do the best. I mean, this is, Dave Farley, the guy that we're hoping to do the work, said to Alan, well, this is better than a napkin drawing, which is normally how we talk about it.
He was like, this is great. and he's like, he got it right away. He's like, oh yeah, you'll need. So one of the things also is, that's why I say I know it's hard to understand plans.
The amount of low level.
Yes, exactly.
Because there's also high too, so we're increasing the total volume, almost doubling
No,
quantity of
the
human
thing.
beings that can be at the waterfront in chaise lounges.
So if I turn this around, which might be easier for people somehow in orientation,
Now we're looking-
here's the lodge,
Right.
here's the water.
Today there's this narrow low peak.
Right, and if you could, so the narrow low piece goes right there.
Right, and everything else is up high
Right, and now the deck goes all the way back to
at low level.
at low level. So all the chaise lounges and the water, you're down at the water, you're down at the water
The
low.
retaining wall between the lower level and the upper level is just one long bench?
Yeah, so, well, it will be a new retaining wall, but in front of it will be a bench.
Right.
So there'll be the bench is 24 inches above grade, and the wall is 30 inches at this point, and the same over here, which is like 44 inches. So that doesn't change.
So this looks great. I
Thank
mean,
you.
just astounding. I love every last feature of it.
Do we have any concept of how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take?
So
Right, good
we
question.
still so I still have to talk. The guy that's building main dock is giving me the quote for this, and
Wait,
I
the
need
guy
him to
that's building
finish main dock.
So
Yes.
can you add in, like, to his contract that, like, you have to, you know, what are those called?
Performance clause.
Yes, yes.
No, he's
Right.
so we did this. I knew we were doing that. So even though we didn't have Alan's plans, I knew we were going this way. So
Yeah.
one of my faults and graces as this leader is that I sort of run when I see good ideas. And I was like, when he said he'd help us, Alan, yay, Alan!
Thank you.
So, and Mike just said to me, so if we do this, do we get the log back? Maybe.
Oh, that was my contingency. That was. Oh, didn't you hear me say that?
You know, 'cause
I'm taking this
honestly,
back.
We do all this. And all you guys want is the log, you have the log. So it's the vision, right? So when you have vision, you can pretty much do anything, and I believe in it. This is the biggest thing that I've ever tried to attack, especially in the fact that Mike here was just asking me, when does this have to be done? It has to be done by December, because that's the grant I got. So, but that's part of the 40, so don't get all so excited. We still need to raise money. But there's at least a chunk to start. And Alan did this at the greatest of costs, like at the intern cost is what he said. Which I'm learning, like,
Well, it was pro bono for me and
pro
intern
bono
costs for
intern
staff.
costs. So like nothing. and look at what we got. And this is gifts being leveraged. So thank you, Alan.
You're welcome.
So you're using the same company that's building the current dock?
So the thing is, there's not a ton of opportunity or options on this lake. There might be 4 or 5. We did get 3 bids on this dock, and the contractor that we are using was under, so by $25,000 to the other bids. So my suspicions is we are going to be probably using, unless you guys know, if any of you are like secretly holding barge companies that do all this work, like.
No, it just seems every time the supervisor's gone, the work stops.
Yeah, so I know. Here's the part. Like, it's hard around here.
Sure.
Like, it's hard to get people to show up for work.
Yeah.
But Dave's going to be done Thursday, and I believe him. So you're lucky that all the construction didn't happen on week 1, because now week 2 is going to have a lot of construction happening because they have to for that to be done by Thursday. So that being aside, contractors in general in this area are not easy to come by. Has been, as much as I used to sort of give comments about how people weren't trying hard enough to get bids, like I've now been trying really hard, and it's really hard. It's really hard to get people to come out here and give YMCA style bids, because I'm also looking for I want to do the work right, but I want to do it at a price that it can, stretch. So I understand your concern. Fall's a better time for everyone in Lake Winnipesaukee, because all the money people are spending, they're getting ready for the spring. So I hope we have
So
that.
has anybody indicated to you that they can actually do the work by December?
Yeah, Dave, the guy that's doing our dock.
Has
Yes,
said,
yes. So we're gonna start. This was step 1. Step 2, get the price. Well, I probably should get the price first, but
Yeah.
we did the best we could.
And I should say, I talked to Dave as well, and I was impressed. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He got it right away. We talked about details. He knows, and he's actually going to provide 3 different costs for the wall. So the retaining wall that the bench is against, one of the issues is then what's the face of the wall, right? You're going to be looking at that. It could just be poured in place concrete, which isn't very attractive, or it's very contemporary looking and wouldn't go with sandy. It could be a veneer stone, which I prefer not to use. And then I said, why don't we just use the stone that we've always had here? And he said, oh yeah, great, that's easy. So it's going to be a nice stone wall. I said, but it's the back of a bench, so it can't be as rough as the one that's down there. And he showed me pictures on his phone of other walls he's done. So he's on it. He gets it. We had that conversation, and then he'll build a bench that comes right out from that wall. So it'll be really nice. So I just want to let you know, I was impressed with him, even though it's 4th of July weekend. if he's got to get it done, he seems like the kind of guy who's going to get it done.
So do you need to fundraise to do it?
Yeah, well, I did not project any costs because I don't know what island costs are, and I don't know what New Hampshire costs are. Normally, I would have done a cost projection, but I just figured he's gonna generate. So he's gonna generate one.
I mean, we know it's going to cost money.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, of course.
So
I
I
just know
think-
what you're fundraising.
I think this next step is he's going to get us some kind of official bid.
Right.
Initially, his original bid was $60,000, but not to do like a vision. That was just to like replace everything existing. So that was how we sort of started the scope of our idea. And then once we have real numbers, we'll put it in. And I wanted to pass out. Well, does anyone have any questions for Alan? Any other
I
questions?
had one about the material for the deck.
Yeah. So actually, there's a sample of it down here. If someone could grab it, yeah.
Tend to be really slippery when they're wet.
Well,
So I was wondering if that's what those were for?
they are, and there's one that has a coarser grain, so that doesn't occur. I am always leery of that as well.
I mean, because there are other like tricks that you,
This is better than Trex.
but you can. My experience, and we live on a lake, is it still tend to be sort of slippery when they're wet.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, and Dave,
But there
our
is one that's
contractor,
coated
is
that's not as
pretty good at this stuff too.
Yeah. So that one is rather coarse
Yeah.
grain, the brown one, and the brown and the gray.
Do a little testing.
Yeah, that's
No,
absolutely.
Good idea, yep.
But the idea, so whatever the material ends up, whichever manufacturer of the material ends up being, it's not going to be real wood because this lasts for 100 years, and it doesn't warp and buckle and splinter. So it's very cost effective. It's actually less expensive than wood.
It's less
No.
No,
Good.
this does not get hot,
Yeah.
by the way. Yeah, it gets less hot than wood.
It's the direct sun.
Right.
The enemy of this whole camp is water. It's our enemy, and I am fighting entropy every day. That is my job. I'm an entropy slayer, and this is the answer. Is yes, it's our friend when it grows trees, and it's our enemy when water eats the wood. So yes.
So if we don't raise the funds, do we lose the grant?
Well, so the catch here is we already raised the funds because the matching capital was the $50K that I started off with. So we're no in jeopardy of losing any money. We got our money. The association ponied up the other half, so we're totally safe. What I'm throwing on the table is an opportunity to go from an okay idea to like a great idea. Like I think it's a great idea. The other part too that I know is that when I see things like, say somebody says something like, oh, well, if we do this, and then I'm like, well, how much is that part? How much is that part? How much? And then I can see where volunteers can get it all done, like for zero. That's where we take these ideas and leverage them. So, for example, we ran the electric and we dug all the trenches for the things. It was $1,000 per cabin to dig a trench because it's expensive. And I was like, what? I freaked out. I had a moment, and then in total, those cabins were about $4,000 to $5,000 to redo the wiring because of all the parts that go to it, which I learned. And I was like, houses aren't even that expensive to do. So what I learned was that if that's a really expensive part, and I was like, well, we got a lot of people. Like, why don't we dig our trenches? And so pre-season. Mark Hamilton, a few of his team, we talked to the code guy and said, hey, what if we dig down 12 inches and add 6 inches of stone? That's an 18-inch depth. Will that count? And he was like, yes. So he came out, we got approved, and it cost me $0 to build the next 3 trenches. So that's the stuff, like I don't know enough.
Worked like mad.
They're great. Yeah, those guys are great. They work really hard. They say they like it, which is great. So I'm not saying we're gonna like all hand dig the waterfront. I don't know. It all depends on where I think the cost saving can come from in a community endeavor that is building strong community by doing something more cool, right? So this is where I get excited. So I put on here we're trying to raise 45. Obviously, it's probably bigger than that, but I thought that was a nice place to start until we get our real numbers. And then I did want to just mention the couple other things that have been happening around fundraising this year. And I know it's a lot, and at first I was like, we can't all do this in 1 year. But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Everybody has different passions. I'm just going to throw it all on the table. What happens, happens. I have promised nothing to anybody. Boston doesn't expect me to do this. This is all just for you guys if you want it. So the two other things that we are looking at this year on top of the waterfront, what's three actually. One are the outdoor chairs, which you see there. I know those are low, so for those of you that are like, these are too low for my hips and my knees, I have higher chairs. Thank you. But we're gonna start with this style because I get confused easily, and complicated things sometimes can make projects stop. So instead of pitching 3 different chairs to you, we're gonna start with 1 chair. And then once we get the second chair, once we get moving on the first chairs, the second chair will come, and it's a higher chair. It's like a bar stool Adirondack. Do you see it? I did that for you. Yeah. So the chairs are $200, and then many people have told me not to do this, but I feel like if you could engrave something in honor of somebody, you might want to do that on the chair. They did it all with the dining hall chairs, and they move around. You don't care, right, where you're sitting, like it's okay. So I figure if you want to throw a plaque on the back, I just can't guarantee that the chair will never move. And that's the part you have to understand, that we're doing this as a whole camp, because if I say this is Idlewild chairs and 6 people want to buy Idlewild chairs and we don't need 6 chairs for Idlewild chairs, then the other cabins where nobody's buying chairs, they don't get the, do you understand? So if you want to put a plaque, you could ask me where it can be, and you could have be your week 1, yay, you get first choice. And we could put the plaque on it, and then you would have an in memory of chair, but it may move around. Yes?
Are these for the waterfront or for the cabins?
Cabins. And waterfront, everywhere. Like, yes,
I think Bostonian's porch, I don't think is,
will fit for that.
and those
So
things are heavy.
they are very heavy. They're very heavy, and they're not supposed to move on purpose. So in the cases with the tiny porches, this may not be the option for those small cabins. Yes?
I just wanted to mention one more thing with relation to the waterfront design, and that was the idea of taking only the first set of shuffleboard courts, only the first set, taking them out and creating a new seating area there that looks out over the lake that's a little bit more intimate and shady. So these heavy Adirondack chairs would be there. There's no paving or anything. It would just be the sandy existing grade. But we'll take those out, take out the rusted, poles that don't really work anymore for lights, and just create a more intimate seating area there and do some selective pruning so you could look out on the water.
And that's kind of taking an unused space.
Yeah, making it really nice. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And I think in general, the idea is that the chairs that we currently have on site they're like old school chairs, there's office chairs, there's some hospital chairs. We have a couple like wooden chairs that I like. I like the log chairs. They don't move. Nobody steals them. They make me really happy. But I'm sort of like replicating the idea of the big log chair, but in recycled plastic. And Brian Logue, a week 3 camper, has spent a lot of time researching all the different kinds of chairs. This chair is 100% guaranteed, so if it breaks, a part gets shipped back to us. We replace it, so they're lifetime guaranteed chairs, which Sandy's a lifetime kind of place. And then, so then on top of that was the idea that people were kind of ready to talk about beds. And when I first got here, folks did not care about how badly they slept at Sandy Island. I was like, do you want me to fix this? They're like, nope, everything's fine. We don't care. We don't sleep here. I was like, really? I would want to sleep on vacation. I don't know about you guys. But I think over time now they're ready. We're ready. I think we fixed enough of the stuff that is really obvious, right? That we're ready to talk about beds. And it's actually not that crazy. So the options we have down here, this is a very pricey mattress. It's white also, so this is not my I'm not thinking this is the best idea, but it's a $400 amazing mattress. Okay, so you can have that in your cabin if you want it. It's $400. And then the one next to it, did the blue one make it down on you? Yeah. Okay, so we can trade them up, but just hold the mattress because we don't want the white one to get dirty. That's my alternative option for $135. I think it's pretty close. It's not the same as $400, but it is. I think you should try it. And then a bed, which not that bed frame. I deeply appreciate that mobility for the purpose of showing you guys what we're doing, but that's metal and wood slats, and I don't think it's going to survive. So that's more like IKEA style. So we're going to do the standard wooden beds that have lasted, that have the shellac polish coating, and then I included the cost of a plywood bedboard to go on top of that bed as part of the package, because I think that's the max package, which is the bed, the piece of plywood, and the mattress. There is no upcharge in this, guys. This is 100% cost, and if the more we buy this, I got them at the quotes of about 100. Say we're buying in the 100 zone. So I think the prices I think are pretty reasonable. So the problem with single wood beds is not the cost of the bed, it's shipping it. So that's half the price of the cost of the bed. They get you every time. I was like, what do you mean it's $400 for shipping? I freaked out. But so single wooden bed with a bedboard, $170. And then
So Kate, we should all try these beds. And if anybody while trying the bed falls asleep, it means we need new mattresses.
we were thinking of renting you the mattresses. I was like, Roy was like, how about if they buy one, they get one free night on the new mattress? I was like, sounds like a plan. Yes.
But now those are wider than book bed and some of the cabinets, right?
So the new beds will be twin full size. So it's a 76 by
Cot size.
Not cot size. So you will get a solid twin, which is this is a solid twin.
That's 400. And that'll, well,
That mattress is 400, but the one I'm offering that I found was 135. So you can, yes.
I wanted to say, I just bought a memory foam mat,
Yes.
and it was,
They're like $70.
huh?
Like cheap, right?
Well, not,
Yeah.
well, not real
Yeah.
cheap, but cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than
Yeah.
quoting, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, so the kind on Amazon are awesome. I just want one for my bed. They're great. But these are like bed bug proof, blah, blah, blah. Like that's what I'm being sold with this expensive. I don't know, but that is what the guy said. So that is what that, I think the $135 option I am offering you, if you try it, you will say, this is a really nice mattress. Just try, so maybe we can switch out, Anya, the white one.
There?
It's right here. Yeah, both options are there.
consider mold with the memory foam because it's subject to growth.
Yeah. So the blue, I do think the blue one that's down, I might even take the option off of the memory foam one, because at the end of the day, like the blue mattress is an industrial camp nylon covered mattress. Anyway, so I think I'm just making the call now. We're going with the 135 mattress. Yeah.
So are you looking to raise money for?
Yes. So here's why we're telling you this. This sheet is everything we're paying for as a camp. I just wanted to show you the efforts we are doing. This sheet is about the opportunities we are fundraising for. So the green one is the chairs, the mattresses, the waterfront, and then the one other thing that I don't know if you all caught when you checked in, but we are running an art auction at the Tadara Center where you did check in, and they are gorgeous paintings by the artist Pever Ferber. And so here's how it works. If we raise all the annual campaign money, and I have about $70,000 to go in the regular annual campaign, not just through Sandy Island, most of this does come from Northwest Pleasant Valley. We do a lot of fundraising over there. Then anything we raise on the paintings, if we reach our annual goal, can all go to this idea, to these projects. And so it excites me to think that we can do this. Like it's not that crazy of an idea. And I wrote down on the bottom here about what's called comprehensive giving. In the past, we have been tentative to fundraise because we are measured and required to hit our annual campaign goal. It's part of the organization. We have to raise scholarship funds every year. We build it into the budget. So we plan to spend it, we plan to raise it, and if we don't raise it, we're short on that number, and it isn't good. So we have to hit that goal. So the tentativeness in going for capital ideas or going for any extra projects is that we don't want it to detract from the annual campaign, if that makes sense. So if you have always given $100 to the annual campaign, what I'm asking is for the consideration of a comprehensive plan, which is please do not stop your annual campaign gift and consider what you might be interested in on these two other ideas of capital. And then I also wrote, I just wanted people to hear about it in case you didn't know. We have about $750,000 in an endowment campaign already, of which about $31,000 a year in interest gets kicked back into the operating budget. So there are three ways to give: annual, capital, which is everything we just presented, and endowment. And endowment, once you join, it's $1,000 to join. It's called the Heritage Club. You can give $10 if you want the next year, but it's $1,000 to join. You can also make payment plans. You can say, I want to join the Heritage Club and I want to pay $250 a year. You can space it up to 4 years. Some people do that. But as we were presenting these ideas, because we haven't done, I really tried to be conscientious to not like pitch heavy ideas every single year to you show up at Sandy Island because you're on vacation, and I definitely do not think that's the spirit of this island, but we have a lot going on in gifted funds at this moment, and I'm sort of excited about it. So this is the year I just wanted to present some opportunities to you, which are all very, I hope you feel camper-centric and would, they're like creature comforts. Yeah.
How do you make out your checks?
Yeah. It's a good question. So everything can be made out to the YMCA of Greater Boston. What I would ask is, if you want to donate something, I have a chart, and you go to the office, it really should be cared well, so it needs to get to me. I want to baby these gifts and make sure that everybody's desires, like you say you want this, it goes where you want it to go, and we're keeping track of it in the right way. The check can still be made out to the same place, YMCA of Greater Boston. You can still put it on your yellow card if you want.
So you could put on your memo that you want so much for scholarships.
Yes.
So much, which would be part of the
That's right.
campaign.
Yep.
And so much for this capital.
That's right. Yep.
Can you split it in?
You sure can. You can give us one check and split it 3 ways. Yep, the what?
You can make out 2 checks, annual campaign, one thing.
Yep, and capital on another check.
Another thing.
Yep, you can do it in one check, you can split it.
Designate the beds, the chairs.
You sure can.
Oh.
It's up to you. Or you could just say, capital ideas are good. I want them. You could do that. You can just lump it and let me spend it how I want to spend it, which is awesome. Yes.
So you just change your mind about the mattresses, am I understanding?
Yes, so we're not going with the white one. Yes, blue mattress.
So
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel a little embarrassed asking this question.
Yeah.
Is it possible, like, if you're gonna donate to the capital campaign and you like the idea of mattresses?
Yes.
Like, I'm just wondering, like, if there's just like 10 mattresses bought, they might not end up in your cabin.
Oh, if you buy a mattress and you say it's for your cabin, this is the part I can say I will do. We'll get you the mattress to your cabin. The great thing is, say 5 of you all buy the mattresses for your cabin. Great, those goes to extra. We start with yours. It goes where you want it to start. Okay? Same with the chairs. Same with the chairs. So
you won't tell week 2 that week 1.
No way! Yeah, I'm not gonna tell them. No. So the thing is like your needs.
Island covered in
Yeah, your needs are going to be met. This is the one thing that's exciting, right? So I can do this. These numbers are not crazy. We can do it. So if you say this is what I want, great. And then the next cabin the same week says this one, I'm like, awesome. We're going to keep going. Now, I will tell you that, say you're in a 4-6, right? The beds that need the most attention are the 2 in the front. Yeah. Most of the bunk beds are fine. They have foam mattresses and wooden bunks. They are not my priority. My priority is the 2 in the front. I'm trying to get the longest bed I can get, the widest twin bed I can get. Full beds? No, okay. All right, just making sure. No. And then you're like, no way, we are sleeping by ourselves. And with the nice new mattresses, that's the goal. Yes.
So are the bunk beds a different size than these?
So most of them are actually this size, believe it or not. We have a skinnier bed, but I believe we have removed them all from it. We call them, I won't even say what we call them, Adam, but it's not a very nice name. They're very skinny. Yes.
So, we have a 2-3, and
yes.
Right now,
your beds are right.
There's not a whole lot of
right.
room. So if we get regular,
you're not going to get that bed. Yeah. So the 2 beds, if you are in Cantabridgian, Morpheus, Bostonian, Haven of Rest, Meriden, we can't go to bigger beds because they won't fit. So we'll stick to what we have, right? No smaller. You want any smaller, or what do you guys think about that? Because we can go smaller on the beds. Leave them as they are, and then we will get mattresses that match those beds. So they will have different beds than the rest of camp.
They'll get new mattresses, but
It'll be a different size. Yeah, it'll match their current size. Yep.
Thank you.
That means that okay.
Yes.
What's the name of our cabin?
We like it.
We like it.
And we do a lot, but does that mean it doesn't have a twin bed and it has a smaller than twin bed and we wouldn't get a mattress?
So we like it. It's a 2, 3. So it would have the same size bed as it is now, but new, and it would have a mattress that matches that bed. New.
Like that?
Yes. It just would be, it's just a different size. You know, like, yes.
I don't care about this.
No, it's the style. So we're going to change out the white so you can try the blue, okay? I think you'll find it to be just as, it'll be, I know it's not a $400 mattress, but it's going to do the job. It's just, it's better. I think it's safer, industrial for the camp. And so I want you to try it out. And, yep.
Will the blue ones last as long as the white ones?
Oh, longer. I think I wouldn't even be talking about it if I wasn't concerned. I don't think, I mean, it's a great, I think I was like, I was going to take that mattress, but no. But I think they're just not going to hold up to the camp. That's what I'm concerned about. Yeah.
So, just so I understand, so it sounds like the frames are for the single level, but what about the bunk bed?
So most of the bunk beds, I feel, if you could let us know if you have a metal bunk bed in your cabin, we want them out. And those are double the price of the single beds. That's how easy.
One bunk bed will accommodate this size mattress.
Correct.
If we are in a cabin with 2 bunk beds and 2 single beds, we would then need to pay the $135 for the 6 mattresses, but then the difference between the $110 extra for each of the 2 single beds.
So I think what I was getting at is that I don't think the bunk beds and the current mattresses on the bunk beds are that bad. They're pretty, they're thick, they're 8-inch foam, they're pretty nice. If you want new ones, let us know. If you're like, this one definitely needs a new one, let me know.
They're kind of just like they got flat.
Okay, well, we can fix it. We can fix it. But the thing is that you'll let us know, okay? So if your beds are okay, they are not the highest priority to fix. That's how I feel. Like, if they're okay, if the bunk beds...
I want to make a gift for to replace
sure.
the mattresses in our cabin if we were to have it.
Yes.
Even though I don't.
Yes.
We would go through it.
We could do, yep, we would do it in that capacity, yep. Yep. Okay?
Or
yes.
you have,
yes.
all you need is 4 weeks beds.
Yes.
4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and just if you could communicate and say, well, we'll buy 1 bed.
Yeah. So all we're looking for is if people buy 1 bed or people buy 1 chair. We're not looking for crazy things. I think that will get it done. Yeah. I was doing the numbers and I'm like, this is so doable. Like, some people might like the waterfront. Some people might want a bed and mattress. Some people might want 1 chair. And if everybody does a little bit, we're going to get all of this in 1 year, and you guys are going to be like, woo, this is awesome, you know? And it won't be that much. Like, I think like $200-300 is the package that will get it done, you know? Per family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we get a mailing on this, or how is this going to work?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I can make a mailing if you want.
Or do we just do it now?
You can do it. You can tell Anya. You can tell me. I brought my business cards. So if you guys want, you can email me.
Oh, I can do it. I see. Okay.
And they have Sandy Island pictures on them.
Do we get to pick our picture?
Yeah, where's North?
This is a beautiful one.
And I have a chart, and it says, you know, last name, first name, week number, cabin, beds, mattresses, waterfront chairs, annual gift, endowment, and interested in the art, like you want us to follow up with you on the auction. And then we can track so that when you talk to me, I'm going to try to make sure to help you get your needs met, because there's a lot going on.
And that's in the office, right?
This can be in the office, yes.
If you're taking that on the card, I won't.
Thank you. Okay, that's it. Ta-da. There's a few parts like windows and electricity that are going to take a little longer because they are really big in scope and scale. We have a lot of windows at this camp. And I really believe they need to be replaced with vinyl because the wood rots and we cannot keep up with it, and it is, so we can do the kind that looks pretty like wood and it's embedded in glass. It depends on how much money we want to spend on them, but we did just do the menagerie in it, and it really helps that building a lot. It was pretty bad prior. So electricity is the project where we're putting all the cables that are above in the trees, you know, ready to be hit by a branch and take out power at any time, underground, driving to the cabin and then going up into the cabin and then making sure that everything is grounded, safe, and to code. So those are a little bit bigger. The price tags are more expensive and will take a little bit longer, but I think in 4 years those 2 projects will be done. So if you have any questions about this stuff, I'd be happy to answer you, but this is basically what we've been working on over the last few years for the deferred maintenance.